Um, Hopping on just a little early just because there's kind of a lot to get through. And I'm sure Bobby will be on shortly. And we'll see if we can make any kind of sense of this very, very difficult slate. Hope everybody had a good long weekend. And this coming weekend we have more of the other sports. MMA was off this past weekend, and starting off, we're gonna have like 12 straight weekends of MMA starting this week. So that's good. And a little bit of a hiatus in LOL and the French Open. You know, as it gets down to the end of the French Open, the DFS slates start to dry up, just kind of like the NBA playoffs, right? NBA is now officially in showdown mode. NHL is DraftKings is really trying to stretch these things out, just like they did with the NBA. They're doing 2-day slates in the NHL with 2 games left. I kind of like it. So I'm going to probably be participating in that. And we have a 13-game baseball slate tonight on an evening where it is really favorable weather in most stadiums and really unfavorable weather in the stadium that is usually the most favorable, that being Colorado. So we have to kind of figure out what we want to do. I guess we'll do the same thing, considering K9 is in here. I'm going to start off before Bobby gets into full DraftKings mode. I'm going to first take care of FanDuel and see if there's any real difference over there. Well, one thing, so first of all, pitching wise, I still think Javier is just kind of the best play. He's chalky and all that, but I do like him at 8,700 on FanDuel. But you can screw around over there if you want. You know, you could play a low-owned Charlie Morton. You could play a low-owned Ryan Yarbrough. You could play Arias, Montas, Snell. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could play over there if you were so inclined. So I mean, honestly, I don't know why I would play Javier. You want to know the truth? If he's going to be chalky, him or Gausman. I don't have them that much better than any of these other guys. If I'm going to, when the kids say keep it real. So on FanDuel, I would not. I don't know. I would fade the high-owned pitchers, that being Gausman and Javier. And if you played multiple lineups, I would make sure to spread out. That's the best I can describe it. But with respect to sorry about that. I didn't screw up. With respect to the stacks, though, over there, I mean, I think the Mets are just really, really super strong. And then there's also the Dodgers. So it's like Mets, Dodgers, Atlanta. I guess I should probably. I guess I'll rank them this way. With respect to how ownership plays in, I think Atlanta has to be the best. I mean, I do have the Dodgers and the Mets rated higher than them, just on who's going to score the most, whatever. But I think the ownership discount you get from Atlanta makes that worth it. So I think that Atlanta is probably where you're supposed to go. It was originally going to be Milwaukee, but I think it's going to change for me to be Atlanta. Now, by the way, the last I checked, the Milwaukee lineup was not out yet, nor was Washington. So you have to keep an eye on that. And obviously the Dodgers I just presume the Dodgers is not out yet. No, I don't see it. Although I have to say that I'm not getting too much of the Dodgers on DraftKings. Let's see what Bobby feels about that. But in FanDuel, in the MME, I'll just tell you where I am, and I'll tell you where I am in kind of the big buy-in. In the MME on FanDuel, I'm pretty spread out there too. So I have about 35 right now. I have about 35% of Milwaukee and 30% of Seattle and 30% of Atlanta. Those are my three highest owned over on FanDuel. That would be Milwaukee, Seattle, and Atlanta. I'm actually pretty comfortable with that. You think they already postponed the Miami game? Is that true? Oh, the Brew Crew lineup is out. All right, we'll check all those things. I didn't see that was. I didn't see either of those things. So let's check out the Brewers lineup, I guess. Oh, okay. So I see Tellez in there and all these other guys. Okay, so let's see. You do get Tyrod Taylor, not Tyrod Taylor. You have Taylor hitting fourth. He's a strong play. McCutcheon leading off is a strong play. Tellez, strong play. Yeah, so all these Brewers, are strong. What about just want to make sure Arias, did he he's in, right? Yeah, he's hitting second. And Colorado is postponed. All right, thank you, Rody. And that's always good to know that ahead of time. And I know people are like, well, better off we not know, and then we fade it and all the stuff. It's just I like a little more clarity. A little bit of variance is good, but this is a good one to know right off of that. Now, with respect to my pitchers on FanDuel, and we'll get this taken care of before Bobby gets here, because I don't know if we'll get back to FanDuel. Like I said, I do have Javier as the highest owned, but I'm everywhere. I mean, I got Snell, Arias, Morton. I even got some Montgomery, Lauer. I got some slivers of Yarborough. I don't have that much Gausman over there, or Montas or Castillo. But I mean, Javier just seems awfully safe. But I think in my big buy-ins, I think I'm going to have to. I think I'm going to change it. I think I'm going to have to get off of Javier at the ownership. Just don't know exactly the way I'm going to do it yet. But right now, look, my lineup looks so good. What about the Dodgers lineup is still not whatever. Yeah, that's right, Kenan. I like Seattle on FanDuel and Milwaukee and Atlanta. Those are my three favorite ownership adjusted, plays over there. Look, the Dodgers and the Mets are the best plays. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I think that with the ownership considerations, I have no problem going under on both of them. There's Bobby. There he is.
How's it going?
Hey, what's happening?
How's your builds and everything going today?
Yeah, I wanted to get here 10 minutes early to make sure that I took care of FanDuel for K9 Bronco before you get on here. Just in case you went full DraftKings mode on everybody.
No. I'm playing big on FanDuel. I'm
oh, nice. Okay.
I'm in. I got some.
No, I honestly didn't know whether you were going to get here a quarter of or 6. So I popped into 550, whatever.
Yeah, nice.
So you saw the Colorado was postponed, and also the Brewers lineup is out. Here, I'm just catching you up if you didn't see any of this. And I'm still waiting on the Dodgers lineup, I think.
Yeah.
Among others.
Yeah, we're gonna be waiting probably a little bit on the Dodger lineup. I'm just changing some builds here. They got Albie down at the bottom of the line. Albie's down at the bottom of the lineup, and I really like this Atlanta stack. So not quite as high on them as I was. but I'm going to just make a little change
And
here.
we're still waiting on the Washington lineup.
That's weird. Washington's freaking weird, man. Why do they do this every day? They do this to us with the weather. You never know when they're going to cancel something, and that's not happening today. But it's just
Nelson Cruz is out. It says.
Yeah,
but I don't have the lineup.
Yeah. I'm taking a quick look and see if there's anything. Milwaukee. Supposed to swing, but there's still a bit of a chance of delay. They do end up. I got to get it, and I want to get out of here at 6:30 because I do want to make sure that Milwaukee game is pretty much completely safe because I have a lot of 2-2s and 3-mans and things like that from that Milwaukee game.
Oh, okay.
For what it's worth, I really do like Kirby tonight. I think that's a play I'll be using in one of my big lineups. I actually considered him on FanDuel. He just didn't quite need the salary, but because there's some cheap bats you can use, like the minimum cost guys, like the Matt Duffy's and Jesse Winker's only 2,700. Taylor for Milwaukee is batting fourth at 2,600. I don't even mind using Dylan Moore as a punt. There's just enough where I don't feel like I need to go all the way down there. But I'm using on FanDuel. I'm using Javier Gaussman with a Kirby and a Giolito as a little bit of a pivot off of those guys. And on DraftKings, I am using Gaussman, Javier, Kirby, Urias, a little bit of Montas, a little bit of Snell, a little bit of Castillo, a little bit of Lauer, a little bit of Morton, just little bits of those other guys. But the main guys are going to be the Kirby, Urias, Gaussman, Javier. I do think Urias is definitely fadeable because people keep talking about the lack of upside. I just get worried why they aren't letting him pitch a little deep in games right now. And he is a guy in the past who people have always said he doesn't have a leash. He has more of a leash than people think usually, but this year it hasn't been the case, and the strikeouts are down. Been a little bit frustrating as a guy to roster, but at the same time, the matchup is so good, it's hard for me to just totally ignore him. So that's where I'm at. But I do like Gaussman, Javier, and Kirby as my favorite three pitchers.
Waiting for Astros lineup as well, right?
Meaningless to me, but I understand.
Well, Kyle Tucker, I still see day to day, so I just have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, if a couple guys are out for any reason, then it just gives Montas a boost. I guess that's the one thing that does make a difference. I have Montas and Morton both at like 15% on DK. I probably am going to end up closer to 10, but I did want to get some different exposures because I don't think that outside of Gaussman, and oddly enough, the guy with probably the highest upside is probably Giolito, but this is a reverse splits guy against a team that's going to throw out all righties. It's a little worrisome, and a team that doesn't strike out a ton either. I think I have one Eric Lauer lineup just before I forget to mention that I do have one of them.
My pitching. I have it sounds it's not really so much. I don't really have Kirby, but I have Gaussman and Javier as the two top owned, and then I am taking the Urias, and then I have a scary 20% Snell, and a really scary, I don't know, say Sarah's only 16%, but I got 15% Syndergaard.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to do.
I like it, Cheese. I mentioned that before that that's going to be the thing that if it happens, I'm going to feel like the biggest idiot in the world because I was on that a little bit earlier and I'm sort of coming a little bit off of it, but I certainly don't mind it. Just making a few switches here.
And a little bit of Altuve concussion protocol maybe. Okay. A little sneaky home return home sort of for Syndergaard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not exactly, but sort of.
Yep. I was waiting for him to play the Mets, but he's gonna miss his start against the Mets because of this start.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I'm not sure. Not 100% on this. I still need to make a few changes to my thing before I get out of here. But the teams I'm stacking, Atlanta. I think the Mets are the one that I have the most exposure to. Their pricing makes it easy enough to get them in. With both Canna and on both sites, but Canna is cheaper on DraftKings, and then you've got JD Davis as the cheapo play on FanDuel. So I really do like getting to the Mets quite a bit today. have a lot of Juan Soto one-offs, which for whatever that's worth, and a lot of the Milwaukee, Chicago, both sides, and then on the Dodgers are the team that is almost impossible to stack unless you really go nuts on
I
draft,
know. It was so hard for me to get to them.
which means they can't be owned that much.
No, they can't.
But you can play a Kirby, and then do we have a confirmation? I didn't have it when I just checked before air, because I was going to do that Ronnie Garcia guy for Detroit, but he pitched in the first game, and he was originally slated for the second game. But Cole Sands is sort of moving up the chart for me as a guy who I think I'm gonna get weird with my Dodgers stack and play him with Kirby, and then I can afford them.
Yeah, I just got one with Sands. I couldn't. I really did. It's funny, I went into today thinking I was going to just paying down for pitchers or whatever it is, and then at the end I'm just doing all this crap.
Where do you stand on Kirby?
I'm not getting to him.
Okay, I really think that this is the play we should be making with the price constraints on DraftKings. I mean, first of all, he's throwing more pitches than Urias is, for example. He's got a K prop that matches Urias and all these guys. 5,600. The matchup against Baltimore is certainly something we don't want to shy away from in general.
No.
So especially, hey, look, again, they scored 12 runs last night. It almost makes me like him even better. So, and for what it's worth, the most extreme, we have Bill Miller who's doing the game between Chicago and Milwaukee. So that's why part of the reason why I have less of it as a full stack, but not really anything else as an extreme on there, except for the aforementioned George Kirby. You get basically probably the fourth best pitchers umpire in baseball in Bellino. So it gives me a little bit more love for Kirby and a little less love for a full Seattle stack, although I still love pieces of Seattle in a lot of my lineups, like little two-mans. Raleigh, I think, is the best option as the cheap catcher. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, maybe I'll probably get some Kirby after all.
Just where, again, you could see it going either way, but I definitely think there's the upside. I mean, it sounds weird to say this, but he legitimately could end up being the highest scoring player on this pitcher on the slate, and he's 6,600. The Mets chalk is interesting because I'm wondering how there's a lot of ways you can stack it for one thing. So I'm not, Sheets, what are you showing up for the Mets, like ownership and stuff like that? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm fading it.
You are because of the ownership?
Yeah.
But the ownership, even with that, it's not like I
don't know. I think with Colorado scratched, I think that
do you think that it jumps up? It probably does. Probably does. Let me go to my hitters here, because I still think Minnesota is going to end up being quite a bit owned if we can get the confirmation. I have the lineup, and I guess it's out, but it's for some reason it's not showing up on one of the pages I'm looking. I think you're going to see higher ownership on the Milwaukee Chicago game than is being projected currently. But the Mets are another one that's, if you want to play if you want to play Lindor, Marte, and Alonso, the three best hitters, that all of a sudden you're back in the same situation. Now you can pair them with the cheapos that makes it easier to get to. But I'm not worrying as much about ownership on this slate. Maybe I should because of the Colorado game, but I do think that you can still get away with it, at least as far as I can see right here.
I had kind of ridiculous idea. Do you have any San Diego?
No, but I thought about it because the Heat, I think they're fine now. All the one-offs are good to me. Not a place that I want to stack, particularly against Wainwright, who just doesn't really get lit up. You know what I mean?
Never. Okay.
It just doesn't happen. We tried this, and you get the 2 runs in the first inning, you feel good. Next thing you know, it's 7 innings, and they've got 2 runs still.
Right.
So it's not ideal, but yeah, I have probably a little too much Eduardo Escobar. I think I can just switch that for JD Davis. The problem is JD Davis with a pinch hit risk. At the same time, one thing that we like about picking on Corbin is that he does tend to pitch deeper into games, even when he's getting roughed up, which means JD Davis probably gets to see at least his 3 at-bats. And if things would go well, maybe even better, depending on how he goes. But did you end up with any Corbin?
I did, but now I'm not going to because I'm going to be playing Kirby. Oh, there you go, DraftKings. This site cannot be reached. There you go. That's what we want to see. Let's see.
Davis. I do think it's worth it to get a little bit of Lauer into your mix in the multi-entry stuff, just because the low ownership. And I actually have like some Lauer and Giolito just spending the top two guys. You know me, I love to always do that little thing. Yeah.
I pare down, just so you guys know, like what I do my process, right? So what I've been doing the last couple of minutes is I've been going to my 5-man stack exposure, and I've been reducing the 5-man stack exposure of those teams that Bobby indicated, maybe didn't have the greatest umpires or whatever. So like Milwaukee, Seattle, I'm just getting, not that I'm like playing less in general, but I'm just going to reduce the 5-man stack exposure to those. So that's what I'm doing right
Certainly
now.
makes sense to me. I've got a few lineups that I've got. One of my big ones, I accidentally have Isaac Paredes in there, which I know is going to happen. I'm going to end up swapping him out, and he's going to end up hitting 2 home runs. But it's
He
just
always hits 2 home runs.
I know it's a little bit of a weird, because I wanted to get a 4-3. I wanted the 4-4, but I couldn't quite figure out a way to make it work with the Seattle guys that I wanted with Atlanta.
And we got nothing on Altuve or Tucker.
It looks like the Dodgers lineup might be out here. Let me grab this real quick. Yeah, so we've got basically the exact lineup that I was expecting for the Dodgers.
Do we have Lux?
Yep, Lux is batting.
Do we have Rios?
Rios is batting 5th.
Okay.
I'm telling you, every time I have played Rios this season, I think he's hit a home run. First of all, he hits a lot of home runs per at bat. He doesn't play every day, and the guy's already on pace to hit 30 home runs ish. and that's playing like 1 out of every 2.5 days, basically. What about Blake Snell on FanDuel? You know what? If I'm going to play Blake Snell, I may as well play Kirby too. I just feel like, and we know with Snell, his problem also is his workload should be looked at similarly to Kirby. So I think they're similar plays, but do we really need to spend down on FanDuel? Like, do you really need to find that spend down play? I really don't think you do. I have a full-on Dodger stack with the big ones, with Turner, Freeman, and Betts and Gausman in that lineup. And I feel fine about the lineup.
Yeah. So Gausman's your favorite on FanDuel also?
I think he's the best play. Now, I think you could make an argument that Giolito is right there. And I just think it's a scary matchup. At the same time, Giolito, you put him against a non-strikeout team, he still is going to strike people out. He just does. That's just what he does. And you get a few, get the BABIP on your side for the balls that are put in play. He's also got a longer leash than most of these guys. And, when is the last time he didn't go I think he had the one matchup against Cleveland, he only had 5 strikeouts in 7 innings. But every other time, he's basically more than a strikeout an inning guy, which we know is sometimes significantly more, and really hasn't had a bad start all season long, including Boston last time out. He put up 24 against them, but he hasn't had that really monster outing yet either. So maybe this is not the time to do it, but I do think that he's very viable. And I like Lauer because of the Bill Miller, but I also think that you should be playing Cubs because Lauer's thing is he's a pretty extreme fly ball pitcher, and fly ball pitchers, when there's winds blowing out at 20 miles an hour or whatever it is now, it's less than that, I think. Let me just see what it is in Chicago. Only 13 miles an hour, but it's 82 degrees. But if you hit fly balls up in that place, those things turn into home runs. Caratini hit a home run last night that had no business being a home run. Anyway, they actually did a thing. They said it would not have been a home run in any other stadium. All right, let's see the Washington lineup is out. Any love for the Angels? Matt Duffy is a one-off for the price, and if you want a 2-man with Trout, but then again, my guess is the stacks have pretty expensive guys, so you're gonna have a hard time getting those guys in with Trout. And let's see who else we got here. Seems like most of the questions were there. Where did you end up with Yarbrough?
I wimped out pretty much.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with playing him. I think it's probably worth noting that he's got a 3.5K prop. That's not exciting to me, but he's the kind of guy who you play to just get you there. And if you want to double spend down-ish, you could play Yarbrough and Kirby together.
Colton Wong is out. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they went with the righty lineup, which just means also that it's more dangerous to play everybody from Milwaukee because you're going to have the possible pinch hit risk for Hira. I still have Hira in one of my big lineups, but
hey, he's been doing better, huh?
Yeah, he's sort of turned it around a little bit. Be nice if they just let him play every day and give him a chance to really find himself. But yeah, he has been better this year.
What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do my FanDuel main one. I'm going to, just so you guys know, I said I was going to do this earlier. I'm going to switch from the Milwaukee to the Braves, I think.
Yeah, I like the Braves tonight. It's good hitting weather. It's partly what's keeping me off of Morton. Because if you just told me Morton was pitching and the roof was closed, and Morton has looked really bad, but he's a guy who I always like to play because in general, until this season, hasn't really been a guy who walks people and always has a long leash, but he has not been himself. In fact, he's like the only pitcher in baseball probably this year who threw the most pitches. Oh no, it wasn't on opening day. It was the second game of the year. But he just hasn't been quite himself this year. He's also faced some really tough teams. But he's also been lit up by some of these really poor teams. So kind of hard to figure out what's happening with Charlie Morton. All right, let's see. You guys fire in any more questions? I'll be here for 12 more minutes. Unless there's nothing else.
Dodgers, Milwaukee now. I could change that to. Let's see what the Braves look like here. You know, I still have this idea that what's his name? Well, you wouldn't have this problem, but that Freeman's on the Braves.
Oh yeah, I don't have that problem anymore. Thank goodness. We're very happy. We'll welcome him with open arms. As great as he is, I'm still loyal to I was still wish Corey Seager was on the team. But yeah,
was that a straight trade or?
No. This offseason signing. It's just it was just about who you pay and who you don't. You know what I mean? And it's hard to pay a shortstop when you've got Trey Turner at short and you were using Muncy at second, who was fourth in the MVP voting last year. You know what I mean? So It wasn't really a position for him necessarily. And as much as I love Seager, Freeman is one of the best 10 hitters in baseball.
What do we get for Arias' first third?
I like this question from Project Mayhem. I think Waka belongs in that same conversation with Syndergaard and with Syndergaard and Yarbrough. I have him right, like I have them all very close, and I have no problem if you want to go ahead and play Michael Waka. I really don't. I think it's totally legitimate as a play. I just didn't end up getting to as much of it, but I think it's fine. I really do. What's hard about Waka is that he never really has like a great game, but he's solidly like a guy who can usually get you 15 points in this spot, and that might be good enough. But to win a tournament, is that going to be good enough? Same thing with Yarbrough. Whereas Syndergaard, you talk about actual upside. I think Syndergaard probably has the highest upside of those three guys.
It's actually kind of hard for me to make this this Braves work instead of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's so cheap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Braves are a whole different level price wise.
Oh, Kevin Pillar, you get a 2K, huh?
Yeah. If you're stacking the Dodgers, but I think that I'd rather if I was going to pick one of he or Dylan Moore, I think I'd play Dylan Moore over Pillar, unless I was stacking the Dodgers.
Right.
They're both the 2K guys. Then you've got Duffy at second base, who's a 2K guy, who also probably, there's definitely pinch hit risk, but again, I'm not worrying. I'm not overly worrying about it. So let's see. I do have to
have more out. This works.
Just way too much of Escobar. I mean, I've got so much Escobar, it's actually ridiculous, kind of. And I'm
Really?
gonna have to do a couple Dodger stacks just because I'm stacking the Mets, and I like him better as a hitter. And I know he's not getting pinch hit for than instead of JD Davis, but maybe JD Davis doesn't get pinch hit for today. You know, I mean, he has some games where he plays the whole game. I probably have a little too much Mets, so I probably have to thin that out a little bit. I do have Escobar and JD Davis, and talk about, here's a way to get off of some chalk sheets. Play Escobar and JD Davis in your stacks on FanDuel if you wanted to stack the Mets. You're not doing it, but anybody out there, because then you lock up that they're both third base only eligible. So you're going to have people who are going to be hesitant to do that. They're also 23 and 2,400, so you get the savings also, and you can then play it with Alonso and Marte and still get guys like Acuna, Soto, Buxton in your lineup if you want to go that route.
You'll get pretty low owned because he's hitting 7th as Albies.
I agree, especially on DraftKings. He's going to be way, way lower owned on DraftKings, but he will be low owned on FanDuel as well. All right, let's see. I'm going to make some changes afterwards.
Who do you like better on FanDuel if you had to pay like cheap, like if like Morton 7,700 or?
I just don't see the need to Morton, Snell, and Kirby would all be right in the same boat for me.
They're about the same, you think?
Yeah. I threw one Kirby in instead of those guys because I just think that I want to bet on the next level talent, and they've never seen him before, and it just makes sense that I think a lot of him. He doesn't walk people, which is another nice thing about him. He's been whacked around and he's still pitching okay. You know what I mean? He's just got tremendous strikeout stuff. And again, you're going to see it come and go for him. He's still a young guy figuring it out, but I just would go with that. But I think Snell, all those guys I have very close. It'll probably feel in the end of the day, you probably would feel silliest for not playing Morton. At least I would, given Snell and the matchup and everything. One thing people should know too, Snell like historically has been very good against righties. So maybe don't overrate that. Maybe I've overrated that one a little bit too much, I guess. It's a pitcher's ump in Baltimore, which is the Seattle game, to answer Tony's question. I'm going to give a few favorite one-offs that maybe other people aren't as high on. Winker, Soto, Acuna's, whether it's a one-off or not. And for the cheap guys, let's see, what did happen with Senzel here? Because I have him as in one and then out in the other one.
I have him as in.
I think third. Boy, that's a sign for Waka right there. You look at that lineup and it's not all that intimidating. It's 56 degrees also. Maybe that is the thing you could do. Senzel in and batting third, huh? And Garlic also in and batting third, I believe.
Mm-hmm. When's that Atlanta? The Atlanta game's not till later.
Yeah, it's the.
So I got to choose this between Milwaukee and Atlanta again.
Nobody playing Giolito has definitely got my interest a little bit. The best strikeout pitcher on the slate, unowned, is just always something I'm going to try and force in.
What if I do what I said I was going to do at the very beginning of the day and just pay 6,400 for Yarbrough on FanDuel and be done with it?
The odds of Yarbrough getting a quality start, I would say, are lower than all the other guys, and I would just rather
whatever.
I just would rather play. I don't know if he's had a quality start like in the last maybe ever. I'm
just struggling to make the lineups the way I want.
Well, so I would rather use the 7. Then if you're going to use the 7K, then I'd rather use Kirby or Snell personally.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, the difference is it's 6,400
versus 7,000. No, it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah. Snell's going to get torched.
Maybe. That he's a tough one.
He is, isn't he?
He might go out there and have like 11 strikeouts and still not get through 4 innings, but give up no runs and have 11 strikeouts with 6 walks.
Yeah, that's definitely in the range of outcomes.
Yep. How about it this year where the 4 best teams in baseball might all be the coastal teams? We might have both teams from New York and then both teams from LA. Although I think Anaheim's different. Be kind of fun. Are you willing to make the promise that we'll go to the game? Absolutely.
I'll do either one.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great.
I'll do either one.
We got to make it happen this time. I need to see the series. All right. I am going to bounce if that's okay with everybody. There's no more questions dried up. And Sheets, any more thoughts before I get out of here? You're still going, but I'm going to get out of here, I think, in a minute.
I think I figured out what I can do. So wait, so Rios, who's left in the outfield? Oh, there's Ozuna right there, huh? Betts, Freeman, and that's Snell. That's Snell exactly at 7K makes this lineup go, huh? Oh my God.
Hey, you could do Gibson. I mean, sorry, not Gibson.
Kirby. He's gonna get through.
I don't know. I mean, I think both those guys are similar upside type strikeout plays.
Well, I'm sure Kirby would appreciate the compliment. I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, Snell when he's on. I mean, I watched this guy literally look unhittable against my Dodgers, and the Rays may have at least forced a Game 7 in that series, may have won the World Series if they let Snell keep pitching when he had a one-hitter at 80 pitches in the 8th inning. He was like unhittable for us. And we have plenty of righties, or not plenty. We actually mostly were lefties, but we do have enough righties. Anyway, I'm going to bounce. Good luck, Sheets. Have a good night, everybody. I am out tomorrow, just as a reminder. I will try to fill in my thoughts when I get a chance, but hope you all do well tonight, and hopefully somebody takes something down. Good luck, everybody.